So this is where we left off last time. Remember, we did our preliminary drawing, and that was cool. That took a little bit of time, but it was still a lot of fun. At least I had a great time doing it. Now, if we did that, then we did our light values. This is my review. We did our light values after that, and you notice there's some little areas of light gray. We painted those. Now we did reserve some white areas, like this is reserved, and some other these little areas are reserved over here as a no paint zone, and that's okay. So reserve the white, paint the light gray, and then paint the dark gray. And so that's where we left off, is when we painted all these dark gray things. And I went over some of them because my dark gray wasn't dark gray enough on those, so I wanted it even darker. The last bit that we have on here that's going to make everything just kind of come into focus and look really cool is when we start doing the black values. And so that is where we are. We're going to jump right into it. And so here's my paint tray. I got that. And so I'm going to take, and I got some paint here, and I got to roll it in here. I got to mix this around. I got to swirly it around quite a bit because I need this thick and black and goopy on those. And if you would like to use a smaller brush, you can on those. No bigger than maybe the medium-sized brush. This is my medium-sized brush. Is okay. But if you needed a smaller brush, like something about this size, then that's okay too. But it doesn't really matter. Whatever you're comfortable with. This is probably a little bit big. Still works, I mean, but you'd have to use just the tippy tip. And so I'm mixing this up so it's good and goopy. If you do have any questions, you can always just do like this in the top of your tray, and you notice that it's very, very dark on those. Okay, so I think some of this is ready. And this is where we go into dark. Now I'm going to do just some experiments here. These on the little wingtips, right? And so I can come in here like this. Notice it's dark blacky. And I'm just using the tip of the brush to try and establish that. It's still pretty puddly. Oh, look at that. Woohoo! And when you start getting the black in, it all of a sudden starts to come into focus a little bit more. It's kind of interesting, those dark details. Anytime you hit a detail, it really starts to sharpen it up. And in our circumstance here, this is our details are done with the black paint rather than the white paint, because we don't have white paint. But if we were using oils or acrylics or something, a lot of times those details are highlights as we come in. And so now I'm just going over like the wingtips to show you. Now it all of a sudden starts to look correct. It starts to look like a bird all of a sudden as you start to define those little teeny details that we had going on there. And I think there was a little bit of a line right here in this one, right? And there was a bigger area here that this was just all, and it had kind of irregular edges. Kind of like that. There was a little bit of maybe a mark in there. And then we just fill all this area in with that thicker, darker paint. You can go really thick and goopy with this paint, and it covers it opaque, solid opaque there. Got to use the tip of the brush as my guide. So that I make sure I can paint where I want to paint and not where I don't want to paint. And because we chose to use the black, now if we had used a blue paint or something like that, it may have been a different, it may have been extra goopy. Oh, this one comes down a little closer here. There we go. That's good, right there, like that. Now the thing of it is, if you make a mistake and you paint someplace you don't want, You're going to have to make that work for you, because there's no erasing the paint. That's the nature of watercolors, is you don't get to erase. Okay, that could go just a little darker right there. Move this up a little bit so I can see what's going on. Oh, how's that? Well, that's pretty cool, Mr. White. I agree. I thought it was way cool. I'm going to come down here and get some of the little details right in here. This should wrap up some of this here paint. Now let's see, this was a little bit lighter of a value on top, and then the dark kind of wrapped around here. Notice I'm just using the very tip of the brush to have a little bit more control over where I'm placing that paint. Oh, wow, that was cool. That's so cool. Okay, now I'm just going to go around the corner here. Going right up the other wing. There seems to be more to paint of the black for some reason. I don't know why that is, but it seems to be that way. Let's rotate this a little bit so we can see what we're doing. Got to use my guide here too. And then remember to paint up to the pencil lines. We don't want to see a lot of pencil lines. Want to cover up as much of that stuff as we can. Notice how the black is actually quite a bit darker than the dark gray. That's the other thing we wanted to make sure, is that there is a value change, a different value for that dark gray. Okay, looks like this is going to come down here a little bit. Wrap around there. And maybe a little bit out here like this, but then back around the corner and underneath this part. And then don't cover up that dark gray, just paint up to it. Notice there are jaggedy edges on these things. That's good. Jaggedy edges are good. Get some more of the goop. Okay, and so just that comes down here too. And awesome. I'm going to rotate a little bit on this so I can use the tip of the brush on the feather side here. Don't want to go over my boundaries. Paint on the black a little bit so it gets good and goopy. Make sure I'm going over the pencil lines. Okay, so that's that underside of the wing. How we looking? Wow, it's starting to look like a bird. Okay, now I'm going to go, there was just seemed to me like there was just a little bit of black off of some of these tip areas here. Like that, and maybe a little bit more here. And then these ones over here, the tips of these, the wing tips were pretty black. This one here too, and then right in here where it joins in closer to the wing, and then I think this one also here had a little bit of black to it, and this part I think is going to join up a little bit more right in there like that. And then I think it looked like there was just maybe a little black under here. And if you do make a mistake on some of this, it's really not going to matter that much. I don't see any black in there. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're getting down to the tail feather area. Tail feathers, tail feathers, tail feathers. Okay. Alright, and so this one should go pretty smooth. I'm just going to start filling in these black, because there's not a lot of white actually on the tail feathers themselves. This is all filled in with little bands of black going across. Kind of like that. And then this side looks like here along the front of this there might be a few little bands of black right in there like that. On the claws themselves, it looks like there are a little bit of black on the claw area here. This one right here is black. It only goes up just a little ways on that. And then the back side here, this is mostly black on the back side as well. And that helps define the leg, right? Because the leg was kind of white. I find with this one here, as I'm painting with this, if I make little kind of back and forth horizontals, that helps remind me of the structure of the tail feathers. And so when you have to come across here, that there's some feathers that have that style to them, I guess. And looking down here, it looks like this talon here is also in black mostly. And then the front part of the leg is in black. And then across here. And then the back side of the leg on this one is in black. Get some more juice. Now, the back part, the back claw here looks like this has a little bit of black to it, so it's coming down here like that. And then this one also maybe a little bit of black here. Okay, then this part here is in black too. And it looks like the area between the claws here is in black. I'm going to leave just a little white line between the tail feathers and the claw, just so you can see them a little bit better. And so just a faint little white line between those, I think will bring that out a little bit more. It's not like that in the picture, but I kind of like it that way. Okay, tail feathers on this side. And if you just refer back to the picture, your original reference, that's always helpful. Irregular edges on these ones. If there's any little white dots that you think you need to pick up, and just go ahead and dab them with the tip of the brush. And make sure I get my pencil lines covered up. Well, that's coming along pretty smooth. Now I got to get these little ziggity zaggities here. All right, and I'll just finish that up in just a moment.